What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So listen, I have a ton of respect for Kamaru Usman, right? Former welterweight champion, very dominant champion. Not only that, very knowledgeable of the sport, UFC analyst, ton of respect there. And I'm going to feel a little bit like MMA Joey by shitting on one of the fighters in this video, but the hypocrisy of Kamaru Usman is palpable, meaning you can literally put your finger on it. And I'm hearing him talk on this Pound for Pound podcast with he and Henry Cejudo, and the stuff he was saying in relation to Islam and Belal Muhammad. I'm just like, what? Wait, what? I couldn't believe I was hearing this come out of his mouth. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it's hypocritical, and we'll get into that. But it's a strange dynamic here because we're all in the same video. I'm going to call Kamaru Usman a hypocrite, but then I'm also going to turn right around and agree with something that he said wholeheartedly. And then we're going to just proceed like that. So the first thing we're going to do is watch this short clip right here on his Pound for Pound podcast where he's discussing what should be next for Islam Makhachev. So check it out.
Like, it's starting to get tough for Islam to get down to that weight class. So yeah, I think if I was him, the decision that I would make next, yeah, 100%. I would definitely probably go up. This whole notion of a Belal training with them, they don't want to, bro. No, I'm going up there. I'm whipping him. I don't care. Just because he comes into our camp, just tries to use our bodies and learn our style. I'm moving up. I'm whipping him. I'm taking that belt. And hey, I'm moving on to the next.
Right. Okay. So he clearly says right there, I don't care nothing about so what they train together. So what they're, training bodies together. He's learning their style. So what if they're supposed to be friends, brothers, boys, whatever? I'm going over there and I'm whipping his ass. I want that belt. He's saying Islam cuts quite a bit of weight to get down to 155. 170 is a more comfortable spot for him. I'm not putting Brotherhood over whatever my goals are professionally and in my career and in the UFC, so forth and so on, basically, right, is exactly what he's saying. Yet, unless my memory serves me incorrectly, a couple of years back, we had this almost exact thing, sometimes a little bit even worse thing happen with Kamaru Usman. Okay? Now, let me read this to you, and then maybe this will kind of refresh your guys' memory. A lot of you probably already know what I'm getting at, but let's start here. Camaraderie also prevented Muradovashvili from claiming bantamweight gold. The Machine outright refused to fight his friend and teammate Aljamain Sterling, while Funkmaster claimed the throne. Ironically, this was also the case with Kamaru Usman, who wouldn't entertain a fight with Israel Adesanya since they both had Nigerian heritage. Remember that? Remember that? They didn't even train together. Not that they trained together, not that they were all part of the same training camp. No, none of that. They had the same Nigerian heritage, meaning they both hailed from, were born from, and came from the same country. Okay? Usman ruled out a fight with Adesanya unless the UFC offered him $100 million. Talking about FU money. Jones is asking for $30 million to compete with Tom Aspinall. $100 million to go up to middleweight and fight Israel Adesanya. I mean, that's just as good as saying, no, I'm not going to fight him. I refuse to fight him. Because you already know, this ain't boxing. This ain't a going out of business sale. The UFC does not do $100 million paydays. At least not yet. The biggest star the sport has ever seen has been Conor McGregor, and he's gotten nowhere close to that as far as what he's getting paid from the UFC. He had to step out to a third-party event and do a boxing match to get close to $100 million, right? Anyway, Instead, he considered fighting at light heavyweight. So he was going to completely skip the middleweight weight class to go up to light heavyweight because he so vehemently was against fighting Israel Adesanya because they're from the same country.
If I was him, 100%, I would definitely probably go up. I'm moving up. I'm whipping him. I'm taking that belt. And hey, I'm moving on to the next.
And then you have Belal Muhammad, really respects these guys. They share the same religion together. They eat together. They travel together. They train together. They consider one another brothers under their God, right? The closeness of Belal and Islam is way more than was Kamaru Usman and Israel Adesanya. Now, obviously, those guys were probably friends. Sure, they respected one another, but they weren't in the same training camp. They didn't train out of the same gym. Since these remarks, Usman has lost 3 fights in a row. Interesting. And Adesanya has lost the middleweight throne twice. Perhaps Usman's approach has changed, as now he looks to keep his standings in the welterweight division, let alone reclaim a championship. So that's the hypocrisy part. That's the hypocrisy part. Giving Islam Makhachev shit because he and Belal do not want to fight each other. And, I think what's going to happen. Now, listen, Islam has said that he will take that fight if push comes to shove. But I think that's last resort for them. I don't think they will do that unless they absolutely have to do that. Right? But, because listen, I still think Islam still has some work to do in the lightweight division, if I'm being honest. Now, listen, this is not Islam's fault, but 3 of his last 3 of his last fights, okay? Why did it switch it? With 3 of Islam's last 8 fights being fallouts and then last minute replacement opponents, I think he still has more to do at lightweight, if I'm being honest. But Dana considers him the GOAT now. A lot of people consider him the GOAT. So I do believe, I'll say he's done enough to go up to welterweight should he decide to do that. And I just think it's interesting how Kamaru Usman, completely refused when talks of him going up to middleweight to secure that belt. When those talks came up, he shunned that idea. There's no way he was going up there and facing Israel Adesanya. Even though they're not friends, they're not brothers, they don't train together, they didn't eat together, they didn't, worship together, all of those things. They were born in the same country. They hailed from the same country originally, so he refused to fight Israel Adesanya, because of the Brotherhood, right? But yet he doesn't understand the Brotherhood that Islam and Belal have, as both Muslim fighters who train in the same gym together. You talking about hypocritical, bro. Did you forget that you absolutely refused to fight Israel Adesanya? Did you forget that? Crazy, man. So, like I said, I was going to disagree, call Kamaru a hypocrite, all in the same video that I was going to actually agree with something that he said. So listen to what he says here about Arman Tsarukyan having to drop out of the fight. I do agree with what Kamaru Usman said. So let's check out that.
I don't understand why we're moving on from Arman. I think this is it's crazy how Islam gets done and we don't even mention Arman. We're just like, all right, what's next? What's next? Yeah, it's Arman. Arman's what's next.
So that's your 2 cents. So you think Arman should be next?
100%.
Yeah.
Remember what we just said. Okay, since Islam became the champion, he has not fought the next contender, clear cut contender, and that's not Islam's fault. It's not his fault that people keep falling out here and there. But now, for the first time, we have the clear cut contender.
So right there, I've said, right? I think it's idiotic and immature of Arman, to be honest with you, to openly agree with what Dana said. In the post fight press conference, Dana immediately, when he was asked about, well, what's next for Arman, blah blah blah. Oh no, he's definitely going to have to fight his way back up. He's going back to the drawing board, right? And then Arman Tsarukyan, as soon as he gets a microphone in front of his mouth, he's like, yeah, I agree with Dana. I should have to start my way, but no, bro, no, no. I mean, you've gone through Benil Dariush, Charles Oliveira, had that tough fight with Gamrot that you barely lost. You've gone through all of these tough matchups. Finally, worked your way up to the number one contender spot and the undisputed number one contender that needs to be going up against Islam Makhachev. And that's all you have to say? Well, I agree with Dana. I couldn't believe it, man. Like, at least go to bat for yourself. At least throw your name in the hat. At least say publicly, I know I had to pull out. I know it put the UFC in a bad situation. I did not want to have to do that, but I've worked really hard to get in this position. I do think that I am the toughest and the biggest threat to the lightweight belt. I really do hope and feel like I should get that title fight next. That's it. That's all you got to say. And to me, it shows the immaturity and the mentality of a guy who just fucking whichever way the wind fucking blows him. Well, the way I was blow. Okay, well, I won't fight that guy. Wait. Oh, let me go punch a fan. Yeah, that's a good idea. He said something ugly to me. Let me go punch that guy. I mean, the missing weight, the last minute pulling out, I think that he possibly missed weight and knew that that was going to look horrible on his career because the UFC doesn't want a champion that can't even make the 155 weight limit. And it's not the first time that he would have missed weight, right? I mean, I used this analogy in one of my other videos recently. Let's say you're supposed to go to your current place of employment on Friday, and on that day, you have a meeting with your boss about a possible promotion that he's looking at you and a few other people on possibly getting this promotion, right? And then Friday comes and you show up for work 45 minutes late. You wouldn't do that. I mean, if you're ever going to show up 45 minutes late, you don't do it on that day, right? You want to look good on that day. And I think that he finally gets here to this title shot, Arman, that is, and he was having trouble those last few hours cutting that weight, and he wasn't going to be able to make it because they miscalculated this, that, and the third, or whatever happened. There's millions of reasons that guys miss weight. He's a big guy for, thick. He's short, but he's a thick guy for that lightweight division anyway. I think that he just wasn't going to be able to make the weight, and he knew that that was really going to reflect poorly on him as a champion. Plus, if you weigh in too heavy, you can't even go in there and win the freaking belt. And you did all of what you did just to get to the point where you can go in there and win the belt. Well, guess what? If you don't make the 155 in a title shot fight, you can't get the belt, even if you win. He could have walked out there, knocked Islam Makhachev out in 30 seconds, and he still wouldn't have been the champion if he would have missed weight, right? Anyway, I'm not going to keep talking about that. It is a conspiracy because nobody knows for sure. He had his coach get on and say yada, 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 talking about the back, this and that and the third. But yet, I look online, I don't see anywhere prior to when that coach said that, which was on like Friday night or Friday afternoon, didn't see anything about, Arman Tsarukyan supposedly nursing a back injury or anything like that through training camp. Either way, all right, so the hypocrisy of Kamaru is real. But Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. Yeah. And see, I've been saying this all along. At least put your name in the hat, bro. You were the guy. You were the number one contender. And this isn't the first time that this has happened with Islam, where he was supposed to fight someone who was a higher up contender, a better contender, and then last minute they pull out. He gets given this guy. He was supposed to fight Benil a while back. He pulled out, and then he gets Bobby King Green, which is nowhere near the grappling level of Benil. You're going to have a guy who is a solid grappler. And I'm not talking about a jiu-jitsu black belt who rolls around on his back, for 20 hours every week. I'm talking about a wrestler, a sambo guy who has good sweeps, good throws, good top position, good top control, a guy who knows the positioning and who is always going to be a step ahead of someone else on the ground. You got to have someone like that, and it's got to be someone that's solid, who's strong in that area as well, right? And so Islam's not seen that yet, but I think one place that he may see more of that is if he goes up to welterweight, right? I mean, if he's going to stay at lightweight, it's a big jumbled mess there right now. I don't know if Arman's not next. I guess it's Charles again. I love Charles. He's a lot of fun to watch. He's probably my second favorite fighter of all time. I just love watching him fight, but I don't think he beats Islam even this time. I just don't think he has the wrestling and the grappling chops to beat him. I'm not saying he can't beat him. I'm just saying I don't think he will. All right? And so if Charles goes in there, gets the next shot, he doesn't win, what's next? If it's Arman, that's technically like him getting the next title shot because he wouldn't be taking another different fight in between that time. So I don't know why Dana said that. And even more so, I don't understand why Arman agreed to that and echoed that and dittoed that sentiment in public. Why, bro? Do you not feel like you deserve it? Do you not feel like you worked hard enough to get there? I'm getting off of my soapbox. Either way, I agree with Kamaru here. Kamaru has said it. Daniel Cormier has said it. There's a lot of people saying it. Like, why again? Is Arman not next? Anyway, Kamaru's a hypocrite, but I also agree with him too. Tell me what you guys think. Leave it down in the comments. Let me know what you think. Also, do subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hey, share the content too. That really helps when you guys share it. More eyeballs, right? That's what I need. All right, thank you guys very much for listening. I will see you on the next one. All right, thanks.